All right, music fans, welcome. Harmless here again, talking real music in real time for a few real people, just like you, just like me. So before we get rolling, Simon Collins, I believe he's Phil's oldest son. I'm not 100% on that, oldest child. And he's been around for a number of years, had a band maybe 10 or 15 years ago. This album's called Becoming Human, came out a couple of years ago. It completely blew my mind. Nobody was really talking about it. There was one video, I think, that was released, maybe a couple, I'm not sure, but the title track, absolutely mesmerizing song. And yes, especially when he goes into that falsetto area, it's a holy crap Batman because he sounds a lot like his dad. And by the way, if Genesis wanted to continue as a band, obviously Phil has got some health issues. Imagine having Nick Collins playing drums, Simon Collins on lead vocals. I'm telling you, the promoters, they could sell tickets to that. Simon sounds amazing. He's definitely more progressive than his dad, but that's not technically true if you look at the origins of Genesis back in the 70s when Peter Gabriel was around. He's actually, this guy is more like Peter probably than his dad, but it's kind of a combination of both things. That's what makes it cool. So again, this came out a couple of years ago. It just blew my mind. This isn't mediocre. It's way above what you'd expect from any artist today as far as production and songwriting and just interesting music. Speaking of mediocre, though, what a transition. I always do that. Motley Crue has made some waves by saying that I think they're going to be taking this stadium tour around the world. So for those of you hoping that the stadium tour and all the antics would just go away, it's not going away. According to Nikki Sixx, who is probably one of the better musicians on stage for Motley Crue. Just, yeah, Nikki Sixx doesn't bother me. I think he's a good musician, and obviously he's not causing too many problems. He says, we're working on a South American, Mexico, Europe, UK, Asia, etc., etc. Wow. So I'm just worried that how is Vince Neil going to just keep doing this? And, you know, I guess you can look forward to more great selfies from Tommy Lee, right? Maybe some more bathroom pictures. Yeah, that's what we want, right? Look, folks, when things aren't going particularly well, musically speaking, there was one review I read where they said it sounded like Vince Neil was sucking on helium. But hey, he went to the Grand Ole Opry, right? So it's okay. I mean, I don't know. I guess people are okay with mediocrity, right? They're okay with, hey, it's a show. Hey, I get to see this band. I grew up listening to this band. I'm going to go see them. And yeah, the stadium tour. Look, I would continue the stadium tour. I would just take Motley Crue off of it and, you know, find another band to put on there. You could put Foreigner in there, right? Even though they've got like one original member who kind of shows up. I'm thinking people would probably dig all those songs. I would make Def Leppard the headliner, make Foreigner like band number 3. Then you have Poison and Joan Jett, right? Done. Motley Crue and all the craziness, all of the, you know, hey, ladies, I haven't seen any of your you-know-whats yet, you know, and he's walking and he's prowling around the stage. And here's a dude in his 60s. And I kind of understand that there are probably some younger people that are there to see the train wreck, right? They're there to see, oh, this is what my parents were into, you know, and I'm going to go and check this out. And then they're going to be embarrassed because typically stuff like this doesn't go on with today's rock bands who are dark and sinister. Look, Motley Crue is all about a good time, right? And part of this good time were the chicks. I mean, they've got what, pole dancers or something, or ladies who are, you know, dancing around in the background when Vince is sucking on the helium. I mean, that description is going to stick with me. When the reviewers are on, they're on. You know what I mean? You can, unfortunately, it's much easier to cut someone down than it is to lift them up. But if you're listening and you're going, what's up with that voice of his? You know, it kind of like a little pipsqueaky compared to that full throated thing that happened back in the 80s. And like I say in every video, folks, it is aging, it is mortality. It's also the reality that certain kinds of music, like what Motley Crue did, and there are obviously other bands out there who played and sang a certain way, and when they get older, that's really difficult, you know, to continue. And that's why you've got singers that retire or can't do it anymore, and the band decides to replace, and then they replace this guy and that guy. And before you know it, you know, you've got 0 or 1 original member, you know, and all of these older bands are in that category, other than Aerosmith, right? Who has continued for years with pretty much the same lineup. Obviously, Joey Kramer is questionable for the upcoming Aerosmith tour, basically said he wasn't going to be there. He might just not be able to do what he used to do. So I think his drum tech is going to fill in for him. And that's a Vegas residency. And of course, you had Steven Tyler with his issues going back into rehab. But at least Aerosmith is mostly intact, you know, far much more so than many of the bands today. And Motley Crue, you know, yeah, a lot of original guys up there, right? And they're just doing what they do. But I don't know, folks. They're taking it worldwide. So be prepared. Look, Live Nation, it's a promotions machine. They got Ticketmaster, they got the advertising, they got the radio industry, they got everything. I'm not sure if they have such a grip on everything over in Europe and in various parts of the world, but my guess is they probably do, right? Because every corporation is global now, and they essentially do the same thing in every country. And that's why when a country goes rogue, everybody goes crazy, because, you know, they've stepped out of line and now we can't do the things we used to do there. If you would just fall in line, then, you know, we'd still have concerts there. I'm thinking about Russia, for instance, but there are a lot of other places that probably, you know, aren't going to be hosting the stadium tour around the world for other reasons. You know, maybe the fact that this is just something that their country doesn't want to allow in. But I'm sure these guys are going to make a ton more. They've already been like number 4, number 5 on grossing concerts as far as top grossing concerts. And that's why it continues, folks. It makes money. You're selling about 98.5% of the tickets. And these are big stadiums. So good for them. You know, it's crazy capitalism. And it's really just designed to get people out of the house, people who have been, you know, cooped up for 2.5 years or whatever, and they're going out and they're enjoying some music. And I don't hold that against anybody. It's just, this is not what I'd go see. So in any event, good luck to Motley Crue. Hopefully the helium keeps going and everybody can see Motley Crue as the headliner or the co-headliner. I say again, Def Leppard, Foreigner, Poison, and Joan Jett. That's what I would do. And I bet you I sell even more tickets with that. Because Foreigner, even though they're depleted, right? They've got just Mick Jones for like 45 minutes. People love those songs. They have the best catalog. Def Leppard, Foreigner, it's good competition as far as catalog goes. So in any event, Foreigner, they're just not raunchy enough. They're just not crazy enough. They don't have scandal after scandal. Nobody's taking bathroom selfies. So that's probably why they're not on the stadium tour. In any event, folks, that's my video. One more time for Simon Collins, ladies and gentlemen, the guy who could be the new lead singer for Genesis, if they wanted that to happen, or Simon wanted it to happen, and they got together and they had Dad's blessing. I bet you Dad would sign off on that. I bet you he would. I mean, he can't do what he used to do, so why not, right? All right, people, I'm done. See you soon.